Good morning, dear students of class 8. Welcome to the English online learning class. Today we are going to further continue with the lesson, the Comet part 7. So students, till now we have discussed that how Comet Datta, which was discovered by Manoj Dattada, it was found out that the comet was going to collide with the Earth. This was the prediction in the article which James Fawcett had given for publication in the Nature magazine. Now, Sir John Macpherson, when he was asked to comment on this article by his friend who was an editor of the Nature magazine, Taylor, when he read this manuscript of the article, because it said that Comet Datta was going to collide with the Earth, he thought that this publication was going to spread panic on Earth and something needs to be done to save the Earth from destruction. So the very first thing that he did was he called James Fawcett and told him that they need to do something. This article should not be published, and if it is published, they should add many ifs and buts to avoid panic on Earth. And the next thing that he decided was that they were going to call an international conference of scientists, astrophysicists, astronomers. They are going to discuss ways on how to save the Earth. And the international conference had to be called in 15 days' time because everything had to be taken up very urgently and in secrecy. So as Manoj Datta was associated with the discovery of this comet, he was also invited to England. And there they discussed ways and means how to prevent the disaster from taking place. And Project Light Brigade was the name given to this work where time schedule was discussed, and if Comet Datta's path was not changed, then they would be sending a nuclear payload of explosion, and this would meet the Comet Datta path, and it would, when the nuclear payload that was sent on a spaceship was exploded, then it would be to deflect the path of the comet. So October 10 was decided to dispatch the spacecraft with payload, and November 15 this spacecraft would meet Comet Datta and the detonation of the payload would take place. On December 15, they would know whether this experiment has failed or succeeded. That is, if the comet would pass by peacefully, then the Earth would be saved. So after discussing all this, Manoj Datta, he returned back to his country, to India. There he was received by a huge crowd. There were yagna ceremonies that was organized in his house. Now Manoj Datta tried to tell everyone that it is a superstition, as crossing seas is no longer a taboo. Taboo means something which is not permitted on religious grounds, social or cultural reasons. So there was no point in attending these meaningless rituals. Indrani Devi looked at Shivaji Babu, who was the younger brother of her husband, and Shivaji Babu also tried to explain that this was suggested by the Guruji, a Shanti Yagn to pacify the evil spirit behind the comet. So Manoj Datta wanted to tell them that what is the advantage of organizing this ceremony? And they very innocently said that Comet Datta you have discovered will not cause any ill effects on the earth after they perform this. Yeah. Now Datta got very angry and he said that this is just a superstitious belief. Now Datta refused to participate in the yagna. And Shivaji Babu tried to explain him that this was what even our wise forefathers had indulged in. Now, Datta was in regular correspondence with John Macpherson. The friendship had grown stronger because of their appreciation for each other's virtues. And very indirectly, in his letters, Sir John Macpherson used to mention about Project Light Brigade. So when he received the letter in the middle of October, he tried to tell him that the operation had begun in a very indirect manner. And November 18, he got a special messenger, and this messenger said that the letter said, the telex message said that it was from John Macpherson. It said that he's confident now of buying his Christmas present. So now Datta was assured. He felt very happy and he rushed to his favorite Rasgulla shop to enjoy and to celebrate. Now, on December 15, Comet Datta came closest to the Earth. At a distance of 80,000 kilometers, millions saw it and admired it. Only a handful knew close that they had come to total annihilation because it was kept secret, so very few came to know about this. When the comet had gone far away and was seen no more, Datta felt safe to make the following comment to his wife. Now that the comet came and went, are you satisfied that no major disaster took place that can be attributed to it? I agree that there have been no disaster, but there could have been. Do you know how they were averted? So his wife said that, do you know how this was averted? Because major disaster could have been. Datta looked at her. Did she know? How could she? He had never mentioned Project Light Brigade to her. He probed cautiously. I don't understand what you mean. So he tried to know from his wife why she said so. It is very simple. There were no disasters because of the yagna at our house. So she tried to tell her husband that the disaster was averted because we had performed a yagna at our house. But I never performed the yagna, do you remember? I refused to have anything to do with it. Of course I do. But we found a way out, at least Guruji did. He said that if you were unwilling to perform the yagna, it would be all right if a descendant of yours did it. So we got Hoka, grandson, to deputize for you. And it has worked. Isn't Guriji clever? Indrani's voice had a ring of triumph, victory. She felt very proud saying this. Datada formed a mental picture of Koka performing the yagna, uttering mantras dedicated to him, which he did not understand. So the small child was reciting those mantras which he was himself not able to understand. Pouring ghee at specified intervals into the fire, offering flowers, and then the picture changed to an assembly of scientists at the conference, analyzing the problem, devising solutions, executing them rationally and efficiently. So the other picture was in London how the scientists were working for the Project Light Brigade's success. It seemed hard to believe that both pictures were different aspects of contemporary human society. Dattada was aware of the gulf that separates the rich and the poor, the wide gap which separates rich and poor, the educated and the illiterate, the privileged from the unprivileged. But this gap between the rational, that is, a scientific, practical minded, and the superstitious seemed to him far wider, far sinister. It is very harmful. Will human society ever succeed in eliminating it, in removing it? So, children, what can eliminate these superstitions? Education. Scientific thinking can eliminate superstitions. And it is doing a lot of harm to the society. Datada did not know the answer. So the lesson ends here. And this lesson is by J.L. Nardikar. So we stop here. You write down the main points of the lesson and any queries you have, you can also note it down so that we discuss those queries in the Google Meet classes. Thank you. Have a nice day.